So Jay, do you know though who is going to make an appearance at SEMA in the form of a major automotive manufacturer that has sat it out for the past few years but will be there this year?
Ooh. Did I not do my homework on this one?
I'm in the zone this week, man.
So you caught wind of it. You caught wind of it, and I'm only just go ahead and break the news. Break it.
Volkswagen.
Woohoo! Yes. I can't wait, man. Ooh, for a lot of reasons.
Uh-huh.
A lot of reasons,
this should
man.
be interesting, right?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Also, now you know why I said what I said before we hit record.
I do. So let's roll with this one, pal. Let's go.
Here's the statement that this is a quote from VW. They said, "We thought it was a good opportunity to demonstrate the aftermarket potential with our newly introduced and freshened performance models, and also to show some interesting extensions for our burgeoning range of sport utility vehicles." That's a quote from Volkswagen. They will be at SEMA. We will be all up in that. You guys make sure that you're plugged into us, and you'll see what I did there. I said plugged in.
I did. And this is great because this ties into everything that we're going to talk about, and we're going to roll this all into one segment for you guys because it's a bunch of just VW news. And who didn't see... Okay, so we talked about live. Oh man, who didn't or who isn't really just waiting for OBI-WAN? The Disney Plus series is going to be starting at the end of this month.
All of a sudden, this ID.Buzz reveal that they did with Ewan McGregor. What was it? month and a half ago, something like that.
With the
and we were like, well, that's interesting. And we come on and Jay says, hey, everybody, he owns a lot of these VWs, and we think nothing of it. And then all of a sudden, they release this commercial where they're featuring it's an OBI-WAN. It's a hybrid ID.Buzz promotional alongside the OBI-WAN series that's about to drop.
That's right.
And
it's called it's the name of the commercial on YouTube. If you want to check it out, it's called Simply Galactic.
Okay.
There you go.
I mean, we can put a link to it. Or just throw the link right in there. And
the ID.Buzz is Simply Galactic, is what it says.
So
nice
they
marketing.
are leveraging the technology advancements that they are working through, and they're basically partnering with Disney, Star Wars to help that out, right?
Golly, man. What a bold move. Don't you think?
I think it's brilliant.
I do as well. When you have someone like Ewan McGregor, like you said, who is just this classic VW nerd, man. I mean, he loves the dadgum things, grew up around them. And then here he is in the commercial driving the ID.Buzz. And you got R2-D2 and C-3PO just walking around like, giving it a stare down.
Yeah, they're supposed to be off camera, like they actually, exist off camera.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking in it. And it's really, really cool. It's a very well done commercial and a good promotion for them, and I'm excited for it.
This is going to sell vehicles for them.
It will. It's going to sell not only this vehicle, this ID.Buzz, and all the other IDs that they have coming out in the EV world, but it's also going to sell a lot of things. And now that I know that they're going to be there, I wonder if this thing is going to be promoted at all there. What do you think? You want to bring? I
don't know. You never know. Anything can happen, right? And it is Vegas.
You want to break the silence? Go ahead.
I think it might be too soon to see one, but I don't know, because we know that Volkswagen Group owns the rights to the vehicle Scout. They are bringing back the Scout. It is going to enter production in 2026.
Yep.
4 years from now. Volkswagen is going to use it as, guess what? An off-road EV brand. Well, where better to position yourself for overlanding than SEMA, right?
Exactly.
So now they're going to spin this company off as its own.
It'll be its own brand.
Yeah.
It'll be VW's little own off EV brand. It'll become a new company, basically, is what they say under the VW group.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll get into the specifics. There's going to be a couple models. We're going to tell you what those are here in a second. But let me just say, for those of you that don't know this, and Jay knows this, but this isn't anything new for VW. For a very long time now, they have expanded their portfolio by buying other car companies. Mm-hmm. So let me just give you a few of the examples. Like, I always go back to their premium brands, because those are the polished, recognizable one. Ducati motorcycles, which I have one. Right. That's owned by the VW Group. Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, and then they have a sport division, which is Porsche. So they own, and then, there's some other brands that are less popular here in the United States that are more popular internationally. Let's see, is there anything that I'm missing, Jay, that you can think of? Just putting you on the spot here. Those are the big ones for sure.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I think you've covered that. That's definitely you've covered them. And I will say this, that when we're talking about excitement surrounding the SEMA show here, Keith, if these guys are there, they do say that the first prototypes will be unveiled in 2023.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean necessarily that you might not have some sort of
could be
teaser at the show, because it can happen. We've seen that happen in the past with a few things. I wonder how many restored old Scouts will be around.
That'll be
this
interesting.
Year.
So the famous, iconic looking boxy Scout SUV from like the 70s was where I remember them. So they are going to do a similar. Their concept art makes it look like a boxy EV. Mm-hmm. It is an SUV, but they're also doing a truck. So think like Lightning F-150 competitor, Rivian competitor, possibly Cybertruck. Cybertruck's kind of its own class, but electric pickup truck, right?
Right.
Silverado EV competitor.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to compete against the Hummer EV, the R1T by Rivian, as well as the electric Jeep Wrangler and the Ford 150 Lightning, if they come up with an off-road style version of that. I think that's what it's geared towards. I think everybody is starting to kind of jump in the pool now, if you will, with that pickup truck. I want to know, I have one question. Lordstown, where the hell are you?
Right.
Well, I mean, seriously, everybody else is jumping into the pool.
They're going to be first, Jay. Don't worry.
Oh, is that it? Is that why we have to wait? Because they're going to be okay. I get it. Yeah. But this is exciting.
Yeah.
And VW is very smart in realizing that they need to create this so it will be available in the U.S. market at first and only for the U.S. market. They are developing it specifically for the U.S. market. Well, I think that this plays into what they understand marketing towards the people have this tendency to want to go back in time.
Ah, yes. Now, do you remember some of these Scouts? Do I remember correctly that some of them had removable roofs, hardtops?
Absolutely. Hardtops, the windshields folded down.
We know the popularity of the Bronco, the new Bronco,
right?
The revitalized Bronco, the Bronco brought back into existence, but it's not an EV.
Right.
But we know that Overland popularity is just off the charts, right?
It is.
We know that when Toyota discontinued the FJ because of poor sales, it was just extremely poor timing. If they would have been a little bit more patient, I think it would have exploded. But look at, Jeep slid in and took the sales. Now Ford's competing for those sales. Volkswagen's not stupid, and they're looking at this and probably saying, well, what can we offer in our vehicle that neither one of these other two have at the time? And it's a fully electric off-road truck or SUV, right?
Specifically intended for the off-road, yes.
Not to say that Ford won't do that with the Bronco, or that, and the Hummer EV is already in development. Right. That GM has, but
we know that Ford announced is going to be that we know there will be another Ford pickup model that will be an electric pickup.
Right.
It's coming. We just don't know what it is yet.
Right.
They haven't revealed that. We just know it's coming. So VW's paying attention here, because GM, like we said, has put out the Hummer EV. They've also got the Silverado EV.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you've got the luxury SUV market, and the Cadillac Lyriq is covering that. They're pulling that out, and that should be available soon. I think they've already started production on the Cadillac Lyriq, which I can't wait to see my first one. But VW didn't stop here at the Scout, just an SUV. I think it'll be an luxury off-road SUV. But then they go to the pickup truck. You can't have just an SUV. You got to have a pickup truck. Now, who are they going for there? Rivian, I think.
Yeah, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, like, how can you ignore Rivian's popularity?
Right.
But see, Volkswagen has the production facilities to bring this to life, whereas Rivian, being more of a startup, has to learn the hard way. They're starting from scratch, right?
They are.
And Volkswagen looks at this and says, well, we've already got the experience to put something like this into production much more quickly, and they're already doing electrified vehicles. This wouldn't be their first.
Right.
So let's do it. Let's take our knowledge of production and apply that to the truck market, the electric truck market.
This is all great and everything, but the one thing that bothers me the most, Keith, about any of these electric pickup companies, these electric trucks, off-roaders, there really hasn't been much in the way of true towing capacity or range, towing range fully loaded.
Right.
We get what the estimated range is without all that. It still remains to be seen. Will we have that infrastructure definitely in place for people who are for its intended purpose, such a vehicle like this? And this is why I bring this up. If this is its intended purpose is to be an off-road vehicle only, then we know that it will be towing things. It'll be pulling campers, perhaps, trailers full of bikes or whatever. A lot of different things. Maybe a tent trailer. Who knows? What is the range going to be? Will there be infrastructure in place? We know there's infrastructure out there, and there are things being, considered. But how ready are we truly for this just onslaught of off-road type vehicles?
Well, and this is going to be a tough nut to crack because, really, I think for this generation of EVs, meaning like not, there's better technology that's in the works with better battery components and all that. And some of that we're going to speak toward here in a minute. The manufacturers are going to have to solve this problem on their own. They're not going to be able to rely on somebody else's infrastructure or even, RV manufacturing is like the Wild West. I was on a forum yesterday for my RV, and there's a common problem that happens with this particular chassis that mine has. 400 pages of comments, Jay. 400 pages.
Amazing.
And it's been going on since like 2010, every model that they've made since then. Yeah.
Whoa.
And they know it, and they've just made them that way anyway because RV manufacturing standards are not as high as automotive manufacturing standards. So where am I going with this? Well, if a company like Volkswagen or Ford or even Rivian or someone, I mean, we talked about SAF Holland and their tracker and their electrified trailers and their e-axles and all that recently. Somebody's going to have to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and make their own towable. And, why couldn't Volkswagen do it? They already make camper vans.
Yeah.
And then they would have a quality product that they could also enable you to bring your own power, bring your own battery packs, right?
Yeah.
Travel with a bank of batteries that you can then plug into that truck and give it 1,000 miles of range.
Yeah, well, I think that we've discussed this in the past on previous podcasts, and again, for those of you just now joining us, thank you for stopping by. If you're subscribed to us, thanks. If not, make sure you subscribe at partscountergurus.com/podcast. Look, we've talked about some of the technologies out there, regenerative braking, for example, towables that can generate their own power sourcing. Airstream has done it. A number of companies out there. And I believe you're right. I think that that's going to happen is that somebody's going to develop a trailer that is very specific for use, such as a Volkswagen.
EV compatible, right?
Right. It's EV compatible. Its whole purpose is to store battery power and to continue to just regenerate itself while towing while having it being a trailer, camper trailer, or a tent trailer, or something, or just a utility trailer,
right.
Holding your gear, whatever. I think that that's what you'll eventually see. So it's sort of a tandem piece of equipment, if you will,
right,
that comes along and helps you. It's your emergency backup power.
Battery technology has to get lighter, which it's heading in that direction, because that's a lot of increased weight. But just think about the possibilities, man. I mean, you potentially eliminate the need to go plug in at an RV campsite. With that much power, if you can double the range of an EV, of an electric pickup truck, you then are talking about the kind of power that you could then use to run everything in that RV for days and days and days.
Right. And for those of you who think that it can't happen, we watched a video. We talked about it right here on this podcast, guys. A guy who had his Tesla towed at, what was it, like 60 miles an hour constantly, and it was basically supercharging the entire time as it was being towed. So
flat
that's
towed,
that's the technology. That's what we're talking about. These are the things that will be part of these packages. So for all of you that are out there with range anxiety or questioning how this can happen and why they're doing it, this is why. Because there's ways to get through it, and it will happen.
I know nobody in the RV industry wants this to happen, but I would welcome the quality contributions from a partnership with Ford or Volkswagen or, just because there's so many polished turds being sold in the RV line today.
Right.
That are just, it's like, Jay, I mean, honestly, we almost died. Like, we could have died. My exhaust in my generator was not hooked up. They didn't even bother to hook up the exhaust line.
Right.
They wired the carbon monoxide detector backward so that it wasn't working.
We don't need that.
That is a recipe for... You're in a box filling up with exhaust fumes with no warning.
Right.
That passed somebody's quality. So I feel like it's going to raise the price of the RVs because it's expensive to build them well.
Right.
But if they're built better, they last longer. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
We'll see what happens. So. This is an exciting time for Volkswagen. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we do get to see them at SEMA and pick their brain on this new venture that they're going on. So I am looking forward to seeing the Scout come back. Like I said, I'm a sucker for old school. I know it's going to be an EV, but I love the way that body looked and everything about it, and that's what the Bronco was. And so we shall see. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Good luck, Volkswagen, on that, and we'll see you at SEMA.